For years, I pretty much shot everything on my iPhone, from the iPhone 11 all the way up to the iPhone 15. That's what I used to create content. And honestly, I was one of those people who thought phones were more than good enough. And for a lot of use cases, for a lot of people, they are still more than good enough. I built an audience with my phone. I got monetized on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube with my phone. And for a good while, I didn't think I needed anything else. But eventually, I started running into issues that the iPhone simply could not overcome. Now I've owned the Lumix S5IIX for about a year, and looking back, I think it was one of the best creator decisions I've made. So in this video, I want to talk about why I chose the Lumix S5 Mark IIX over Canon, over Nikon, and some of the others I've considered. For those that don't know me, most of the content that I shoot outside of this channel are drumlines and marching art events. So that means long days outside, direct sunlight, walking around, handheld shooting, indoor performances, and nighttime performances. So my needs are a little bit different than a person, sitting inside of their house just filming a YouTube video. And the iPhone worked well for me for a good amount of time, but I quickly started noticing some of the limitations. The first problem wasn't image quality, it was overheating. When you're shooting outside all day in the hot sun, especially during the summertime, the phone gets hot. Your screen starts dimming, the battery drains faster, and I got tired of worrying about if I was going to make it through the day. There have been far too many times where I'm in the middle of recording a drumline, I get that overheating warning, and then 10-30 seconds later, the phone shuts down. I'm sitting there waiting for the phone to cool down, and I'm missing reps. And when it does start back up again, the phone just overheats even quicker. So I got tired of that really quickly. So I wanted a camera that was specifically designed for video. The next issue was low light. During the day, phones look amazing. I think if we're being honest, most phones look good in general. But once the sun starts going down or you move indoors, you start noticing the limitations. More noise, less flexibility, less detail, more processing. So for my use case, I started to feel like I had reached the ceiling of what I could get. Once I realized I wanted a dedicated camera, I knew I didn't need the best camera on YouTube. I just needed a camera that was the best for my use case scenario. So of course I didn't want to get a camera that was known to have overheating issues. I needed something with really good low light footage. Also, I wanted those professional video features, and most importantly, I wanted a camera that I knew that I could continue to grow into as my skills increase. And like a lot of content creators, Sony was the first brand that I looked at. If you spent any amount of time on YouTube, then obviously you've seen other creators talk about Sony. So naturally, I started there first. I looked at the Sony A7S III, the Sony ZV-E1, the Sony A7 IV. All three cameras have great image quality, great reputations, much better low light footage than my iPhones could ever produce. But the main thing that concerned me the most was the overheating. And after coming from iPhone, I wasn't about to spend thousands of dollars on a camera body, lenses, etc., and still have to worry about overheating. Back then I didn't have a lot of money. I still do not have a lot of money. So I knew the camera that I was going to buy would be the one I would be using for the foreseeable future. And when it comes to Canon and Nikon, it's pretty simple, straightforward. With Canon, they make very great video first cameras, but the problem with them is they're simply out of my price range, and also I wanted the flexibility to be able to buy third-party lenses if I wanted to. With Nikon, they weren't really known for their video features at that time. I know that's changed a little bit with the Nikon ZR, but when I was looking, the Nikon ZR did not exist yet. It's around this time that I started learning about Lumix. The S5 II had just came out, the S5 IIX was on the way, and the more comparison videos I watched, the more it really felt like Lumix wasn't holding back features. I learned about features that I didn't even know that I wanted, such as open gate, or the ability to be able to record directly from my camera to an SSD drive, the support that they offer for anamorphic lenses, the professional monitoring tools like waveforms, zebras, false colors. The list goes on. It felt like Lumix was giving creators the entire toolbox instead of saying, hey, buy the next camera to unlock this feature. But they were saying, here's everything, grow into it. And that philosophy really resonated with me. It reminds me of DaVinci Resolve. It can be a little overwhelming when you use DaVinci Resolve for the first time, but you always have that peace of mind knowing that as your editing gets better, your color grading gets better, your sound design gets better, DaVinci Resolve has all the tools that you need, and you don't need to go somewhere else to fill in that gap. And that's what Lumix feels like. You don't need to go somewhere else. Now, I've heard other content creators kind of downplay OpenGate, but for me, it was one of the biggest selling features. I still make long form, short form content for drumlines that I post here on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So having the flexibility to be able to record a video one time and have multiple different versions of it is extremely useful, especially with this camera having a 6K sensor. So when you're cropping in, when you're keyframing, you barely notice any loss in quality. So when I learned about the power of OpenGate and what it could do, I knew it was a feature that I was going to be using right away. It wasn't a feature that I would say I'm gonna get to eventually. Now, I gotta give some praise to the stabilization. Most of what I shoot is handheld. I'm following the performers, I'm moving around constantly, and I don't own a gimbal, nor do I want to add one to my kit. And Lumix has had a reputation of having amazing stabilization, and a year later I can say that is 100% true. I never noticed any camera shake, any corner wobbles, micro jitters. Whatever they're doing with their stabilization is definitely top of the line, A class. After dealing with overheating with my iPhone, seeing an actual cooling fan in this camera immediately let me know that this is a camera designed for video first creators. The same scenario where my iPhone would overheat in 5 to 10 minutes of direct sunlight in the summer heat is a non-issue for the S5IIX. And shoot, I recorded a video here in this apartment and my iPhone overheated in 15 minutes in this controlled environment. So overheating is a thing of the past now with this camera, so I don't even think about it anymore. I really appreciate how easy Vlog is to work with, especially coming from someone like me who's not a master color grader. I'm very much still learning my editing process, very much still trying to figure out how to become better each and every day when it comes to color grading and editing in general. But it doesn't take a lot to get a good image out of this camera that I'm confident in, that I feel happy to put out there in the world. And, I appreciate that flexibility that comes with Vlog. Some of the other things that I really like is the anamorphic support. I didn't start learning about anamorphic lenses until I realized I wanted to get a dedicated camera. But now that I've been opened up to the world of anamorphic lenses, I'm very excited to dive into that. The fact that this camera has the anamorphic D-squeeze ratios built into there, the anamorphic stabilization. Lumix just makes the workflow so easy for anyone who wants to get into anamorphic lenses. And I haven't bought an anamorphic lens yet, but it's one of those things, just like DaVinci Resolve. I know it's in there, and when I'm ready to use it, I can access those features. So it's pretty clear why Lumix felt so different to me. All of the pro video features. And this camera does take great photos as well. Now, obviously, this is a video first camera, but the photos I've been able to get out of this camera are very nice, and I love it. All of the photos have a filmic look to it. So I'm really happy with the photos. Most of what I shoot is on film. I shoot a Context RX, so this is my only digital camera. So being able to get some photos out of here every now and then when I want to is very nice. I do notice, to be fair, I do notice the autofocus is a little bit slower in photo mode. It's a little bit slower, the autofocus. So I definitely wouldn't call it I wouldn't take it seriously when it comes to photo. but it has 24 megapixels and it does still generate really nice photos. In closing, I'm not saying that the S5 IIX is the best camera for everyone out there. We all know Sony, Canon, Nikon, Fuji, they all make great cameras. When I looked at my workflow, my budget, the content I was already creating, the type of creator that I wanted to become, the S5 IIX just made the most sense for me. So if you are on an iPhone and you are looking to get a dedicated video camera, I do think the S5 IIX deserves a serious look. And if you guys like what I'm doing here, please consider leaving a like, a comment, sharing your thoughts down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.